Now, Brian, Peter Parr, he's the general manager at the Newcastle Knights.
Correct.
And he, of course, this big news around Dylan Brown and Kalyn Ponga. He's the director of football, in fact, and he had to say this about, well, the decision to sign Dylan Brown. Here's what he has to say.
Oh, it's a club decision where, look, I leave, or the club leaves the recruitment in the very capable hands of Peter O'Sullivan. I think his track record and history speaks for itself. So, Pete's the one that needs to come up with any sort of proposal, whether it be, the remuneration, whether it be the length of the contract. He'll do that in consultation with Adam, and then Pete will come to me and ask for my views and I suppose my agreement, and I can take that to Philip Gardner, our CEO, and the board. When it comes to a contract of this magnitude, of course, everybody, I suppose, needs to be consulted, and in the end, we all agree on what we think is the best for the club.
All right, Brian. Peter Parr is basically saying Peter O'Sullivan.
Passing the buck, you feel?
Yeah, well, it does sound like the. It does sound like Peter Parr saying Peter O'Sullivan has presented us.
Yeah.
What say you?
Well, it's a bit like what you said the other week. They want it now because, like Dylan Brown, he's a great player.
Yep.
Probably hasn't shown that in the first 2 rounds. But what's to say in 10 years' time the board and the CEO are most probably not going to be there, or for just say 5 years into the contract.
Correct.
5 years into the contract, and then the board will go, well, I know there's clauses involved, but is it really up to Peter O'Sullivan? Shouldn't it, with this amount of money, it's got to go to the members?
The board.
Or the board, sorry?
Well, I just think this, Brian.
The board and the CEO, and would they sign? Obviously, they sign off on it.
Yeah. Good luck to Dylan Brown. No one is questioning that. He's not going to be your halfback game manager to win your comp. We've seen that already, right? So if you wanted to say, who would you rather out for Parramatta, you'd want Mitchell Moses playing more so than Dylan Brown. Fair or not?
Yeah. Yeah.
My question is this. So Peter Parr, Peter O'Sullivan, Adam O'Brien, all three, they would love to see Newcastle make a tilt in the next 3 years. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yep. Do they really give a rat's about what happens beyond that?
No.
No. So
nor would the fans either. The fans, if they can get a result in the next 3 years. But I just find it's such a big contract and so much money, and you're leaving it up to. And Peter O'Sullivan obviously is the guru, but is it really up to him? Shouldn't they all sit down and have a big discussion?
10 years is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
I know, we're speaking about that.
It is plain wrong, and I don't mind saying it. Newcastle. Okay, if Newcastle win a competition in the next 4 years, Brian, next 5 years, does that justify it?
Yes, I feel that.
Yep.
I feel that. But it is a lot of money. And do you think the NRL should... Because the NRL, as we know, they kick in to everyone. And now my understanding is it's about 11 million each club gets, maybe 12 million from the broadcast deal.
Yes, something like that.
Do you think that the NRL would have to look at that saying, we're giving you the money. It's a lot of money, 13 million over 10 years. Do you think they'd have to sign off on it?
I don't know.
Or they just go, right, this is yours. You do with what? Because you don't want him to be bankrupt.
I've never met Peter Parr. I don't know him, but clearly he's had success wherever he's gone. But I'll say this. He was there for Tamalolo.
Yes.
Right.
10-year deal.
Yeah. A 10-year deal in such a brutal, ferocious game is freaking ridiculous, Brian.
I know we discussed this last week, but that was the only way they could get him out of Parramatta was to offer him more than his current deal, which was a 6-year deal.
Okay, all right. So Dylan Brown gets offered a 10-year deal. If there's an open market, where's Dylan Brown in this conversation? How many players in the National Rugby League are worth a 10-year deal?
Right now?
Right now.
And considering age and all that stuff, I would say Ponga.
Yep.
I would say Cleary.
Yep. But even those two, they're getting on for a 10-year deal. They're now well into their 30s.
Yeah. I wouldn't give Payne Haas one.
Would you give Galvin one?
Would I give Galvin a 10-year deal? Yes, I would.
Is he locked and loaded?
I'd give him a 10-year deal.
You give him a 10-year deal?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Would you give Sharp a 10-year deal?
No.
So are you convinced that Lockie Galvin is bona fide going to be better than Sharp?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
How do we know that?
I've just seen what he's done as an 18-year-old. And on the weekend again, he set up 2 or 3 tries.
But you give him a 10-year deal.
I'll give him a 10-year deal.
I'd give nobody a 10-year deal.
What's the most you're giving?
5.
I feel there'll be a rule coming soon.
I would not give.
I feel there's
it's
a rule
such
coming
a brutal
in.
game. I would not give anyone in the competition, Nathan Cleary included, more than a 5-year deal.
What if to just get him into your club though? Nathan says, "Look, I'll come over, but I want a 10-year deal."
Bring your dad. If you bring your dad, yes, I'll sign that. If you bring your dad, otherwise, no thanks.
So you don't want him, even though he currently is the best player in the world.
Yeah, I get that.
And your club,
unless I would rather sign a 5-year deal.
No, it's not 5. It's 10. You just told me it's 10 years.
Let me speak. I would rather sign a 5-year deal for both Nathan and Ivan
Ivan.
than I would for Nathan for 10 years.
Yeah, it's not Ivan.
Ivan's a gun.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not talking about Ivan.
Right.
The question to me was, who would you sign for 10 years?
None. No, but not one person in the competition would I sign for 10 years. Not one person. Not one person.
Even though you've got a chance of maybe winning 2 or 3 when they're at their prime.
Yeah, but that's like the old.
You've got to take the risk.
It's like the old salary cap rort. Like just pay it, take unders. It's a rort. Like I'm talking about the composite sum of the result. If you sign Nathan Cleary for 10 years, I promise you, this kid is a superstar. Yes, he is.
But he may win you a comp in those first 5 years, and he'll bring other players. Isn't that the whole object of being an NRL club?
You tell me. You
want to win premierships.
Yeah.
To get Nathan Cleary. So you wouldn't get Nathan Cleary if he said, "Look,
I would not sign Nathan Cleary for 10 years. No.
Okay.
No.
So you're thinking, what about in the sort of early doors when he's at his peak for 5 years and you win? Maybe you might win 2 or 3.
He's been at his peak. He's won everything. He's already been at his peak.
He hasn't hit his peak yet.
Anyway, Peter Parr, by the way, let's talk about Kalyn Ponga. So we've spoken about Dylan Brown, Kalyn Ponga. Here's what Peter Parr had to say.
Well, we haven't started that process yet. As you say, he's got all of this year and another 2 years to go. And, I know Kalyn good enough to know that he'll be just immersed in this, season at the moment. But look, he knows what we think of him. We'll do, our absolute best to have him remain at the Knights. Why wouldn't we? But ultimately it'll be up to him whether he enters, the marketplace, when that time comes around. But look, we will talk to him at some stage in the future. But he has a really good understanding of what we think of him, and he knows that we'll be doing everything we can to keep him at the club longer term.
See, every coach, and whether they want to be anonymous or not, because all they see is the here and now.
Yep.
So, for example, if Parramatta could get the opportunity to get Nathan Cleary for 10 years, I understand where you're coming from. You're saying 10 years. Nathan will be 36, 37. But
I would not sign Nathan Cleary as good as he is.
If you're
for 10
Jason
years,
Riles now, you're not thinking about 10 years. You're thinking about the next 4 years.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Peter Parr, Peter O'Sullivan, Adam O'Brien, they give a rat's about the next 10 years.
But
Right.
to get Dylan Brown out of Parramatta.
That's why these deals can happen.
Yeah.
Because people don't care about down the track.
They don't.
They don't. That's why these deals can happen, Brian.
Yeah, I understand that. But they couldn't offer him a 5-year deal because he's already signed for 6 years at Parramatta. So they had to offer him something lucrative to get him out.
Yeah, I agree. So what are we arguing about?
Well, you're arguing about how we wouldn't give players 10 years.
I wouldn't.
No, I know.
I'm not arguing. I can't argue with myself. I wouldn't do it.
But to get a kid or to get a great player, you've got to offer him something that the current club isn't willing to do.
So you endorse the Knights signing Dylan Brown for 10 years for $1.3 million? You endorse that?
I endorse. I think it's a good buy in the sense that at the time they needed a great half or a good half.
At the time?
Well, he was the only one available.
Right.
They've done all their due diligence, as we like to say. You've got the guru there, Peter O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
I'm sure Kalyn Ponga would have had something to do with this decision as well.
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from. You're a club. 5 years would be great. That's a great deal. But he's getting 6 at Parramatta. So how do we get him out of that?
So yes or no, as we go to the break, yes or no, you think 10 years, Dylan Brown, $1.3 million.
I think Dylan Brown going to the Knights is what the Knights need. There you go.
For the next 2 years or 10 years?
I'm just saying for the.
You're soft.
I'm not
You're
soft.
You're soft. Let's go to this.
Yes.
Brandon Smith, and speaking about South Sydney and the Roosters, Brandon Smith caught up with our man James Graham on the Buy Around podcast. Here's what Brandon the Cheese Smith had to say.
Yes, I did see the interest from Wayne Bennett. Hopefully it's real interest.
Glory to South Sydney.
I get it. I'm stoked that he's interested in me, but to be fair, we had a pretty rough relationship. I did give him my word I was signing at Redcliffe, and then we all knew how that ended up. So, yeah, we never know what happened. Like, I don't know what the go is yet. South was my favourite team as a kid.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because my playing strip, I'll get my parents to send one up, but my playing strip as a junior was red and green.
Oh, come on, Brian.
Now he's pulling out the big guns. He's pulling out. This used to be my favourite team. He'll end up there
When?
next year.
Not this year.
No,
No?
I feel South Sydney will wait.
Because of the injury?
Absolutely, they'll wait. You don't want to sign him to a 2-year deal and he might get an infection or something, or the knee didn't take or whatever the reason. Do you feel it could be? Well, they're saying between round 18 and round 20 he'll be eligible. Well,
Brian, the competition does not matter for anything other than you need to be ready for September.
Okay, if you're Souths,
Yep.
How are you going to send your spies over there, or you have to do a medical?
If you think you can be in the finals mix, you want him come September.
All right, so the Chooks don't want him. The Chooks already said you can go.
Yeah.
You can go now.
That's right.
So do they know something we don't?
I don't know.
Or Souths don't?
All I know is that Nelson Asofa-Solomona, who there was concern about him about a hip drop in the Queensland Cup, Fatima Kadu says he's good to go. He's good to go, folks. Will we see Nelson Asofa-Solomona? Would that have changed the grand final landscape?
Yes.
He's going to be named, we think, at 4 o'clock in about 7.5 minutes, folks. The run over Joel and Fletch. St George Illawarra Dragons agree, finally, Brian, to part ways with Francisco Molo.
Yep.
Francis Molo saga at St George Illawarra has finally come to an end. It's understood the prolonged situation has finally come to a resolution which is expected to conclude a 6-figure settlement.
Ooh.
A 6-figure settlement.
Yeah, 100K.
Where does he end up, Brian?
Well, I was thinking it was Roosters. I was hearing Roosters, but now Ryan Sutton has been granted an immediate release from the Bulldogs. Immediate.
Has he?
So does that mean Sutton out, Molo in?
See, I heard a little sneak go about Parramatta.
Could be.
I had a little sneak go about Parramatta and Francis Molo. So
Okay.
I think the race is in 3. Octagonal, Volante, Saintly. It is the AJC Derby. It is Roosters, Parramatta, Canterbury.
Okay, so Francis Molo, would he be on 600K?
Don't know.
All right. He's been paid by, November, December. It's 5 months he's already been paid.
Yep.
So let's just take that down to, just say, 350.
Pro rata. You're going pro rata territories. Yeah,
So he's on 350.
Yep.
If they're kicking in $100,000 to get him off his books, they're saving $250. That's a steal for $250,000 for an Origin front rower.
Do you like Franklin?
I do like Franklin.
I like Franklin.
He's got aggression.
Yeah.
He's got aggression, and for $250, it is a deal. It's a steal. It's a
for the first time in history, we're going to do this. We've done Crow Me's. Crow you. I'm putting it on you. Where does Francisco Molo land? Crow you.
I'm still going to say the Chooks.
Play the.
I'm saying Chooks.
Crow you.
Crow me. I'll say Chooks. But I'm just worried about this. The Bulldogs letting Sutton go. I feel, is Sutton gone to the Chooks?
Wow.
You're still here? We'll see more on the Joel and Fletch socials and catch us live on SEN Radio. Because if you don't, you're an A grade. But if you do, you're the absolute Mickey.